Welcome to the HowTheyLostWeight.com interview program, where you'll learn weight loss strategies and techniques from real people who've successfully lost weight and kept it off. We invite you to sit forward, get ready to take notes, and join your host and weight loss expert, David Fry, as he interviews today's weight loss guest.
Hello, welcome to the How They Lost Weight podcast. My name is David Fry. I'm your host, and I'm the guy who interviews people who lost a lot of weight and were able to keep it off. And today you're going to learn a lot from this interview because I've got a great man on the phone. His name is Dana Generally, and he's got an amazing transformation story. He started out at 340 pounds, and today he hovers around 230 or 220. That's over 110 pounds he was able to lose and keep it off. He's about 6'5", and when you see him, he is one big, muscular, aesthetically pleasing guy. And so I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. He's originally from Chicago. He lives out in California right now, and he actually manages a gym and is a personal trainer. It's amazing how he's gone from over 340 pounds to becoming a personal trainer. And I guess that happens to a lot of people, that when they really become committed and dedicated to their own personal fitness, their natural inclination is to want to help other people. So without any further ado, let's listen to the interview I did with Dana.
Hey, Dana, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you, David? Good to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking some time to be on the How They Lost Weight interview program, because you got an amazing transformation story. So why don't you tell our listeners where you're from and what you do for a living?
Thank you. Well, my name is Dan. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and 38, and I am a personal trainer and a general manager for gyms.
Sweet. Who would have thought that? Now you're a personal trainer. Okay, tell us how old you are and what's your height.
Okay, I'm 38, and I'm 6'5".
6'5". Now I'm 6'4". I feel like I'm pretty tall, dude. You're huge.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the genetics, I actually got taller than everybody in the family, and we're pretty big guys.
Great. So what was your starting weight, and what weight are you at right now?
Well, when I started before my transformation, I was in between 330 and 340 pounds or so. And now 220 to 230, you know, depending on whether or not I hit the local county fair. You know, I'll kind of have a 110 pound swing I've had.
That's amazing. And for all our listeners, you probably, if you haven't yet, go to my website and see his what he looks like now. It's all pure muscle too, so that's crazy. All right. So tell us, how long did it take for you to lose that weight?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I had concerns early on about, you know, skin, you know, from losing over 100 pounds, but it took me about a year, a little bit over a year, and I did it, you know, I paced myself. I lost, you know, around 8 to 10 pounds or so a month, and it just so happened that I didn't have any skin or any of those kind of issues that we see from people that, you know, might have a surgery or something where they have dramatic weight loss. Some of my clients that have had 40 pounds of weight loss in like 60 days, you know, they have those kind of skin issues. So yeah.
That is absolutely amazing, because most people who lose that amount of weight do have a lot of skin left, and, you know, they usually either have to take that off by surgery or live with it. And even myself, who really has never been really overweight, I even have loose skin when I get down to a six-pack. So, boy, you're blessed with some good genetics.
Yeah, I guess so. Good.
What motivated you to
intention?
What motivated you to finally lose your weight?
Well, the motivations to lose my weight are they're kind of, you know, they're twofold, I guess. The first thing was I lost my father, heart, when he was 56 years, and he was in amazing shape. He was a chief warrant officer in the Navy. He was in the Navy for 29 years, so he did the whole Master Chief thing and all that. And he ran 3-4 miles a day, was in great shape, and then dropped dead of a heart attack. And here I was, 100 pounds overweight with terrible habits, smoking. And so it just, to me, it was a wake up call that sent me in the right direction. That and the fact that I do theater, so I was doing some acting at the time, and just I had agents that were just telling me, like, we could really, really do more with you if you lost the weight. You're a good looking guy, and we want to be able to submit you to more stuff. So there's a couple of reasons why, and I had a shift in consciousness at the time, and my body had to follow suit with where my mind was at the time.
Tell us about that shift of consciousness.
Well, I used to be kind of like, the normal human that just fits like random and, just goes through the day responding to stimuli that are happening throughout the day, as opposed to setting intentions and helping to create the reality that it manifests on me. And so as I started to shift my thinking and, reading books and doing a little, more studying, my mind just changed, and I realized that my body to respect it more. So I started to fuel it with the right kinds of food and get the right kinds of activity, and just, working out like crazy, and all those things felt good to me. And so I realized the same way that I can manifest physically through my thinking, I can change and transform my body through my thinking as well. And so when I started to make those correlations, just a whole new world opened up for me.
Okay, tell us, what motivated you to finally lose the weight?
What motivated me? So what motivated me was, I guess you could say, was twofold. It was the first thing that motivated me was I lost my father to a heart attack at the young age of 56 years old. So it was kind of a wake up call, because he was actually in shape at the time. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy who was 29 years in the Navy when he passed, ran 2-3 miles a day, had very little body fat, and, passed on from a heart attack. So it was just a huge wake up call for me, being 100 pounds overweight, smoking a pack a day and eating grease like it was my duty, and then, so that was the first thing. The second thing was my acting career at the time. I was doing a lot of theater, and I had a lot of motivations from managers and agents to lose weight, to be able to expand the roles that I could play at the time.
So tell us, let's go right into details. What specific things did you do to lose the weight?
Specifically, I started with my mindset. And, we get into these things, and since I'm a trainer now, I hear all of the excuses, and I don't accept them because I've used all of them. And so we get into this thing where it's Monday, I'll start on Monday, or, we put off the diet, or we diet, in general, obviously you've heard the diets don't work and that whole thing, and it needs to be a lifestyle change. So it was the shift in my consciousness and my thinking that empowered me. So I was no longer, playing the victim in any area in my life. And so taking back control and taking back power over my experiences and over the manifestations of my life just had to correlate into my fitness. So I had to start to respect my body in a different way. I had to fuel my body with different things. So the first thing was changing my mindset. The second thing was just getting up and doing it and not setting some date in the future, just appreciating my now and doing it in the now. And so I just created those habits of getting up every day, going to run in the morning or going to the gym, going to work out, eating right. Those things just became habitual things that I was doing. So there was that. And then there was also, working out with partners and having somebody else to be there to kind of help to motivate you, and you can kind of push and pull each other along the way. So those are the if I had to pick 3 specific things that I did to get rolling.
So just out of curiosity, what do you tell a client who says, hey, I'll start on Monday, or I'm just big bone, don't think I'm going to be able to do this, or those types of excuses? What, as a coach, do you say to them?
Well, I'm at the point right now where because I've recognized the shift that's necessary in thinking, I don't just train everyone. So I find gyms where they just want you to just sell training packages to everybody and then beg them to use the package and the whole thing. I've kind of evolved past that to where I handpick and select my own clients now. But in those days, well, basically back to that is, so I have to see the shift in you when I interview you in order for me to decide if I'm going to train you or not. And so, but in those days, when I would hear those excuses, it's very powerful to just share the story and to let people know that in an empathetic way that, I've been there, and you basically, you need to lift somebody up and let them recognize how powerful they are right now in the moment, and how tomorrow is speculation. You know what I mean? Like we don't know anything about it, but right now we know that in this moment I can get you to feel good, but you have to want it for yourself. And so it's an internal thing. Nobody can give it to you. And if you have it, you have it. And if you don't, hopefully you get it.
So did you have a support system to help you? You mentioned already getting a partner to help you, but what type of support system did you have? Can you tell us specifically how that worked for you?
Well, I didn't really have a specific support system, no. I had the occasional workout partner who, would be a different person. And sometimes those people would come and they'd go and they'd fall off and they'd go back into their habits, and I wouldn't. So then, of course, we weren't vibrating on the same frequency. So we would just stop working out together. So when it came to, I guess, support, it would be the fact that my intention was so strong to create the body that I wanted. This is what I tell my clients too. I go, don't get into analysis paralysis. Don't sit around and think you have to create this elaborate workout plan and you have to know every set you're going to do and everything and write it down and put it in an Excel spreadsheet and do all of these things that slow you down from actually getting up and moving. Because when the intention with your mind to move your body in a certain direction, you'll attract the things that you need. You'll attract the advice that you need. You might be in the gym and overhear something that you might have needed to hear. You're going to find the right YouTube videos. You're going to see a trainer working with another a client and say and look at what they're doing and go, wow, okay, that's exactly what it is I need to do to target this area of my body. So it all goes back down to just getting started and not, again, being paralyzed by the analysis of the whole thing.
So you talked a little bit about your mindset change. Can you go a little bit deeper into that? What did you successfully do to make you start thinking different about food and about your exercise plan? Specifically food.
Okay. Yeah, and yeah, because food's a biggie. Being from Chicago, you know, we got a lot of good food there, and a lot of it is no good for you. So what I really found specifically was balance. And I know that some of us can, in the fitness industry, can just become so zealous about, you know, eating certain things and not putting certain things in our body and the whole nine. But me, I stay more in a balanced state with a lot of things in my life. So when it came down to food, I said, how do I create balance here? How do I still eat some of the things that I enjoy eating, but not to the extent, nowhere near the extent that I did because I wasn't balanced when I was fat. I mean, when I was huge, I was just, you know, eating whatever it is was put in front of me, whether or not I didn't give any thought basically to what I was fueling myself with. So that's how I specifically made the change, was I started to view food as fuel. And so I said to myself, what I make these decisions every day is, what are you fueling yourself with? Because I want my body to work. I want my body to be at its peak performance when I'm working out, because it's something that I enjoy doing. But I know that if I eat a cheeseburger every day, I know that that's not the fuel that's going to help me move forward with my goals. So when I started to view food as fuel, I started to make better decisions on what I fuel my body with, if that makes sense.
You're listening to the HowTheyLostWeight.com interview program.
So how do you control your temptations to not overeat or eat the wrong foods?
Well, I think that's where the balance comes in is, you know, if I go back to Chicago, chances are I'm going to have a slice of Giordano's deep dish pizza. It's, you know, it's probably going to go down that way. And so it's not that I had this craving and that I had to have it. It's that, well, I guess kind of it is. I mean, but it's the balance of it. It's, I don't have these cravings every day. I crave good fuel every day, I guess, if that makes more sense. And then, every now and then, cause I'll see pictures and people will post online a nice big Italian beef sandwich or, you know, something like that. And it looks amazing. But I guess the way that I have specifically stopped my cravings, it's funny, I just thought about this thing that I do, that I really don't teach too many of my clients because it's kind of hard. I actually, David, will eat whatever it is that I want to eat in my mind. I've realized how powerful the brain is, right? And so what I'll do sometimes, if I really want something that I know is trash, I will literally stop and sometimes close my eyes, and cause I remember the textures of it. I remember biting into it. I remember the feelings. I remember the explosions of chemicals in my brain that I would get when I would eat some of these things, nachos and, you know, and all of this stuff. And so what I do literally is I will sit in my mind, well, figuratively, I guess, in my mind and eat it. And my mouth will start to salivate, and I will satisfy myself that quick. I do this in a grocery store all the time because I might have a craving, or I might look at something and go to get that, and I'll just eat it in my head, an ice cream sandwich or whatever, and then I'm good. And I don't know if this would work for everybody, but it's something that works for me all the time, because I know, again, how powerful the brain can be. And so I use that. I know, like I said, I know the feeling of it. I know what a piece of bacon tastes like, and I know the snap that it can have in my mouth and a chew on it. And I can, right now, as I'm describing it, I can feel it. I can taste it. And so I don't have to go there in the physical if I go there in the mental.
Interesting. What kind of exercise routine do you have?
Well, I mean, I work out every day, usually 6 days a week or so. I try to get some kind of activity in, if not 7. I train a lot of clients, so I end up working out while I'm training. That's why it comes down to 7 days. But if I wasn't training, it would probably be 5 to 6 days. High intensity, interval cardio. So I do very little marathon cardio, I call it, which is, just heart rate, steady heart rate for long periods of time. Those kind of things kick your catabolism into gear, and you end up burning more muscle than you want. So, I tell some of my clients sometimes, if you lost 7 pounds and 4 of those pounds are muscle, 1 pound is water, and 2 pounds are fat, you probably look worse than you did before you lost it. So it's not always about jumping on the scale and looking at a number. So I try to maintain my muscle by doing sprints or, interval cardio, and that helps me from my football days, because that's all football is just cardio. You go, sprints. You go super hard when they blow that whistle and he hikes the ball for 5 to 10 seconds. Your heart rate is going through the roof, and then you go back to the huddle for about 35 seconds to, 40 seconds, and your heart rate is coming back down. Doesn't get all the way down, but it's coming back down. Then you set, and then you go again. So it's just interval. And that's how I train and how I train my clients when it comes to cardio. And with resistance training, I do a lot of stretching. I do yoga, because too much resistance, even the word resistance, you don't want too much of it, because it makes you hard. It makes you too stiff. So I would rather have muscle that's functional, muscle that if I need to save my own life, if I need to hang off the side of a building, God forbid, I would probably have more muscle endurance to do that than the guy next to me who, can bench 400 pounds 2 times, and he's just a huge meathead. You know what I mean? So again, that's where the balance comes in, is that, I do lift my fair share of weights. At 38 years old, and when I'm not competing for anything. So grabbing 130-pound dumbbells and, that's just not my thing. Lifting super heavy and seeing guys and, getting hurt and the whole nine. I would rather have, nice lean muscle that's functional again, that's flexible, and that's aesthetically pleasing as well. So that's kind of how my resistance training goes. I mix that in with a lot of yoga and a ton of foam rolling.
Awesome. So describe your diet, like specifically describe what you eat every day so someone could, potentially follow your diet plan.
Wow. Specifically. Okay. So again, I'm one of those trainers that kind of goes on balance. I don't tell my clients exactly what to eat, but I give them guidelines so that they can find foods that they really enjoy. And so it doesn't feel like they're on a diet. It feels like they're fueling their body again with these guidelines. And I found that type of mentality lasts a lot longer than somebody saying, okay, for the next 30 days, I've got to eat X, Y, Z. And so that thing can get boring, and I've seen people quit. I've done it myself. And so specifically, I would say if I had to pick certain things, because I go sometimes 30 days without eating any meat, just to kind of balance myself out. And then, I eat very little red meat, no pork. But I would say I eat a lot of ground turkey, 93% lean ground turkey. So I love to cook. So, I'll make ground turkey spaghetti with, wheat pasta. I know there's gluten-free options out there because, a lot of us are starting to have issues with that as far as digestion is concerned. Ground turkey, chilies. I eat a lot of kale. I grow kale, and I grow arugula, and I grow tomatoes. And so I eat a lot of organic vegetables, like straight from my garden. Chicken every now and then. It's not really, like I said, I don't really have a specific everyday kind of thing. I'm not one of those meal preppers unless there's like something that I'm preparing for, something that's coming up that I really want to lose, really want to lean up real good for. It's usually a vanity thing, like, a party or a photo shoot or something like that. Then, because I know that I need to eat several times a day to throw my metabolism into just, overdrive, then I'll meal prep. I eat a lot of wild caught fish, only wild caught fish, actually, salmon and cod and swordfish, halibut. Nothing farm raised at all. No tilapia, no catfish or farm raised shrimp or any of that stuff. Because I'm sure you've done your research into what goes into that farm raised fish. So I would say, if I had to categorize myself, which I don't really like to, I would say I'm more pescatarian. So mostly fish and vegetables is what I take in and use as fuel. And it's helped out for me and a lot of my clients.
Do you add any supplements to your diet?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about
multivitamin every day. I also take apple cider vinegar, the Bragg's unfiltered apple cider vinegar, the raw, unfiltered, the cloudy one that has what they call the mother in it. And the mother is, that big ball of probiotics that's just in there. So I take that every morning because it reduces inflammation. I used to have some, issues with, mild arthritis or a little creaking in my wrist and everything. That apple cider vinegar just kind of knocks that out. You can even use it topically. You can soak your hands in it. But I just take a tablespoon of it every single day with water every morning. And it's important to do it with water because of the acidity in it. You don't want to burn off the enamel in your teeth or actually damage the lining of your esophagus by just taking it straight. So diluting it with water is good. So omega-3 every single day. I take the omega-3. And when I'm working out, I use a raw vegan protein powder, which would either be brown rice protein or some sort of a vegetable based protein. I used to use whey, and I had good results with whey as far as my muscle was concerned. But as far as digestion goes, I would find that it would bloat me. And so, I have an intolerance to lactose, even though I love cheese and I grew up eating all that stuff. But I just started to listen to what my body was telling me. And so I have friends that still to this day say they are not lactose intolerant, but as soon as they eat dairy, they've got flatulence and they're talking about being bloated and the whole nine. And I'm like, dude, you're ignoring what your body is telling you about what it is you're putting in as fuel. So I started to just become, again, more one with myself and what I was actually putting in, and not allowing my tongue, not allowing this one muscle that has these taste buds on it to determine what happened with every other muscle in my body.
I was one of those guys. I am lactose intolerant, and every time I would, in fact, I took protein shakes for an entire year, and man, let's just say I was passing a lot of gas, and I didn't know why. I couldn't understand it. I thought it was something, a vegetable that I was eating or something like that, until I started talking to a physique pro about it. He says, "Oh, dude, what kind of protein are you taking?" And I showed him. He says, "Well, you either got two choices. Either you need to take the super high quality protein, or just go dairy free." And so today I drink dairy free shakes, period.
Yeah, good. Good.
Okay, let me ask you, to our listeners, could you tell them what your three best pieces of advice are for losing weight and keeping it off?
My three best pieces of advice for losing weight and keeping it off. First thing would be, don't compare. We all have different body types. With the advent of social media and how it's just dominating so many people's lives, you're staring at images all day long of beautiful women and beautiful bodies and beautiful men with muscles and the whole nine. And those things are great to provide motivation, but we all have our own story. And so I would say that the first thing is to not allow comparisons to negatively affect your view of yourself or your body, because again, the way that we view ourselves is reflected. Where the attention goes, life flows. So that would be the first thing. The second thing would be, believe it or not, posture. Posture is so huge and important when it comes to not only losing weight, but keeping it off, because I found that so many people will lose body fat and they're still kind of hunched over. They still have this forward shoulder posture that probably 80% of our species has right now, just because of the way we're sitting all the time, or we're creating this C shape in our backs. So it's causing posterior and anterior pelvic tilt, and it's an epidemic right now. Okay, and this staring down at the phone is creating the skin growth in the back of the neck. I call it cell-phone neck. Like when I tell my clients, you're staring down for hours and hours and hours and hours at a time, and what your body is doing is creating this piece of connective tissue or fat and callus that is, in a sense, stopping you from severing your own spine at the neck. So you're seeing that people are having this hunch thing on their neck, and the shoulders are forward, and they're having tons of back pain, tons of neck issues, big, huge knots in their back and in their neck that they're doing nothing about. So that can be detrimental to a fitness program, because if you're working out and you're losing body fat and you're still looking at yourself in the mirror and there's a disconnection. You don't like what you see. A lot of people will make 4 days a week at the gym become 3, become 2, become 1, become once every now and then, because they're just not connecting the way that they should. So I would say, for those listening, Google the word psoas, P-S-O-A-S. It's the hip flexor that's it's so important. It's the one that makes it so that, you know, we can go from a prone to standing position, and you can bend over. And this hip flexor on almost everybody, if you're not actively making sure that you're stretching it and self-massaging it and foam rolling, this thing is tight. And when this thing is tight, you are structurally in a bad position. So any workout that you might do, lat pull downs, anything that you do with your arms, even when you lift a fork to eat, you're basically doing a rep with bad form. Every time you let yourself exist with bad posture, every step you take is a bad rep, is a rep with bad form rather. So definitely the posture piece. Look up videos on it, do research on it, and stand with the correct posture, walk with the correct posture. It's going to take a while. It's not going to be overnight. It didn't get that way overnight. It's not going to be fixed overnight. But once you start to make the conscious decision to push your sternum up and allow your sternum to point toward the ceiling, which is going to make your shoulders automatically come back, you'll actually find that your attitude will change. People will look at you differently. You'll project more confidence out to the world when it's going to feel like you're just poking your chest out. And a lot of times women have a problem with this, because when girls develop early, they tend to try to minimize themselves by pushing their shoulders forward and bringing their chest down. And sometimes even their mom will go, well, why are you sticking your boobs out like that? And kind of give them a complex. But the thing happened with fat guys is when we get man boobs, we try to hide them. So we try to minimize ourselves, and we push our shoulders forward, and we try to shrink. We try to shrink ourselves. Again, it's a terrible energy to project out into the world. And it not only looks bad, it feels bad. And that's something that, again, you have to get a hold of if you really want to truly connect to yourself, physically, is the posture piece. So that was two. So that's posture. And I would say the third one, like I said before, is viewing food as fuel, and not just something that you're just shoving in your mouth to satiate some kind of craving at that time. And so, I guess try to use the tactic that I use, which is just eat it in your mind. I mean, like I said, your mouth will water, chew it up in your mind, swallow it in your mind, and get it out of there, and get rid of that thought, and then shift over to putting something that's clean, that's going to help you move your body forward. Use that as your source of fuel.
Amazing. That's great advice. Do you have any final parting thoughts for our listeners that are trying to lose weight, that are in their weight loss journey right now?
Final thoughts would be just find the power in your now. Find the power in your right now. And so when you realize that it's up to you, what you're putting in your body right now is what's going to help you move forward. What you're doing with your body, the activity that you're doing with your body right now is the most important thing. I mean, that's really the only time that we have is now. Life is just a series of right nows. And so if you decide that you want to make good decisions in your now and string those good decisions together, then you'll start to see results. And when you see those results, obviously seeing is believing for a lot of people. So once they start to see results, that just kind of helps them to, continue to hone and continue to create different desires and different goals and move forward. But when you're at a place where you feel like you're at your starting point, just gotta just do it. Just, not to steal that from Nike, but, just do it. And you're now.
Great. Dana, thank you for being on the show today. Amazing transformation. We appreciate all the advice you've given. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, David.
Okay, that was an amazing interview with Dana, and let's go over some of the things that he taught us. First, he says, don't compare. Everyone's got different body types, and you can get really depressed if you look on social media and see all these guys that are really shredded, or all these girls that are just beautiful and skinny and all that, and it can get you demotivated to do, the goal that you want to do, and that is get healthy. So he says, first of all, don't compare. Number 2, fix your posture. He says sitting down all day and staring at the phone all day is causing a posture epidemic in our nation. And he says that when you're bending over all the time, it causes back pain, it causes neck issues, and it hampers your ability to work out. And it also hampers your self-confidence, and it kind of plays with your mind. So when you put your posture upright, it makes you feel better about yourself. It gives you confidence. It makes you feel that you can do things. He says go to Google and type in psoas. That's PSOAS, and it will explain a lot about what he's talking about, because psoas is the hip flexors, and that's what controls our ability to get up and get down and move around. Okay, and the third thing he said is view your food as fuel. Make that mind shift in your mind so that when you're eating, you don't look at your food just for pleasure, but you look at it as a fuel source, that you're putting healthy things in your car so that you can make it run better. He uses a mind technique to kind of get the bad food out of his system. He will think about some of the more unhealthy food, but really good tasting food, and he'll think about in his mind eating it and what it tastes like and how it feels and how it makes him feel, and that'll help him get that out of his system, and then he goes ahead and eats the healthy food. So that was a great interview. He's lost over 110 pounds. There's a lot to learn from Dana, and I'm grateful that he was able to come on the program. So now to go over to the How They Lost Weight website, because I've got a free ebook over there for you. It's called the 21-Day Weight Loss Meal Plan. And in that free ebook that you can download, it has recipes, it has an eating schedule, it has all the shopping lists, it has instructions on how to cook the meals. And these meals are very quick meals to make. They're very simple, very easy, but they're also very healthy. So if you go to howtheylostweight.com, click on ebooks, and you can download that ebook for free. Okay, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. And just remember, there's no secret to weight loss success. It's all about making good, healthy choices day in and day out and never giving up. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the HowTheyLostWeight.com interview program. We hope you were inspired today and discovered a new tip, technique, or strategy to help you on your journey to lose weight, get fit, and stay healthy for life.